I'm William Kumwembe, and I welcome you to yet another edition of the program Business Time right here on Times Television. This is a magazine program where we look at some of the major business stories making headlines in the country and beyond. And coming up in the program today, legumes export revenue shrinks. We speak to agriculture experts on possible contributing factors, and MERA updates permits guide. We have these and other stories. Stay tuned. Hello and welcome. In our main story in the program today, revenue from legumes exports has been decreasing in the past 5 years. Figures from the International Trade Center and online trade database show. Agriculture experts blame it on low quantity and compromised quality. Chimwemwe Mangazi has more in this report.
According to the International Trade Center ITC trade map, leguminous vegetables raked in $15.8 million in 2018. The amount is lower than $58.5 million the commodities raked in 2015. In 2018, groundnuts raked in $15 million from $52 million realized in 2014, while soybeans raked in $12.5 million in 2018 against $19.4 million and in 2017. This is coming at a time stakeholders in the agriculture sector are propagating crop diversification as tobacco, Malawi's major export crop, is losing momentum in the wake of global anti-smoking campaign by the World Health Organization and other bodies. Agriculture expert Tamani Nkonomvula said poor handling of crops in the field and after harvesting has been contributing to the rise of post-harvest losses.
If you look at the legumes in general, much of the legumes that Malawi has been exporting, the main one has been groundnuts and the pigeon peas. Of course, we have been also exporting some soybean and some red beans, but much of it has been groundnuts and soybeans. Now, if you look at the challenges that we have been facing for groundnuts, if you go back from the 80s, you see that Malawi was one of the largest exporters of groundnuts to the European market. But there has been a decline over time because of challenges of aflatoxins in groundnuts. It seems much of Malawian groundnuts has got higher aflatoxin levels as compared to other countries. But also, this is higher based on the European requirements. So because of that, we have lost much of that market. The other crop, leguminous crop that we also saw the potential has been pigeon peas. And the pigeon peas, the main market was India. And we also saw that the past 3 years, our exports of pigeon peas to India have also declined. We are exporting a lot, I think if you talk of 3 years ago. But that market we have also lost it because of, among other things, the increased production of pigeon peas in India. So India more or less reduced importation of pigeon peas, and that affected most of our farmers here.
Economics Association of Malawi Executive Director Maleka Tula said Malawi should continue exploring alternative crops to tobacco. He said it is high time Malawi considered economic diversification instead of solely relying on agriculture.
In terms of our export, we largely depend on tobacco. So I think if we think of diversification and we implement strategies that are going to result into diversification, then it would help us as a country to expand the export base. Diversification is also important because it helps the country to cushion against domestic as well as external shocks. Usually when you largely rely on a single export, when there are shocks, say, to do with weather patterns affecting a particular crop, or where there are volatilities in terms of prices are low on that particular product, then a country is likely to suffer from lower realization from such a export commodity. But when, as a country, you've got a number of commodities that you are exporting, it means when one commodity suffers from lower prices, you are able to cushion yourself from other commodities. Therefore, diversification is key for an economy to thrive. And also maybe another key important thing is to diversify away from the agricultural sector. I think it has been a long time we have been largely depending on agricultural sector. As we know, agricultural sector contribution to the GDP is around 28 to 30%. With other sectors being followed by maybe manufacturing and wholesale and retail as well as manufacturing. But as a country, I think there's a need for us to diversify away from depending largely on agriculture. We can focus on boosting how the manufacturing sector works, and we can also enhance other sectors to complement the efforts that are being made in the agricultural sector.
From Blantyre, I'm Chimwemwe Mangazi.
The Malawi Energy Regulatory Authority, MERA, has updated its regulation that guides the installation and issuing of permits to stakeholders. Speaking to journalists during the official opening of the discussions on the matter on Wednesday in Blantyre, MERA Board Chairperson Bishop Joseph Vumbwe said the upgrade comes at a time the energy sector is developing. Vumbwe explains to our reporter Sarah Makondetsa.
Yes, it became necessary to have the guidelines updated because, as you know, our country is developing. The energy sector is developing. It is not on a standstill. Therefore, we need to stay in time with the developments that are taking place. So with so much demand for electricity and power, energy in general, it became necessary that we upgrade the regulations that guide the installation or the issuing of installation permit to the stakeholders. And after, we reflected on the previous ones, we saw that issues of safety becomes paramount, and therefore these new revised regulations now have taken seriously issues of safety to ensure that the installers are well qualified and well trained in order that when they installing electricity everywhere else, issues of safety are taken seriously and professionalism is applied in order to minimize incidences of accident of fire and or otherwise by installers.
Maybe what are some of the challenges that you faced with the previous guidelines?
Well, not so seriously because all other areas were well applied and not much has changed. But as you know, to keep up with time, you have to always revise things, reflect, learn, use lessons from previous experiences, and therefore upgrade yourself or revise your instruments that you use. So there wasn't much because we were doing quite well, but we thought that looking at the fire accidents that have been taking place in offices and markets, hospitals or otherwise, we needed to see what was it that was not being done well. And professionalism and knowledge is one thing that we discovered needed to be taken very seriously. And in these regulations, we have made sure that we have taken that on board very, very seriously.
Organization Limited has rolled an initiative aimed at training youths in some parts of the country on repairing and maintenance of spray equipment. The organization says it has embarked on the move as a way of helping the youth start small-scale businesses. Sam Banda Jr. with the whole story.
Farmers Organization Limited supervisor responsible for spray repairs and maintenance, Boniface Nyirongo, said in agriculture, spray equipment play a vital role in bringing about high yields.
Precisely, I've combined both here. There are some new sprayers which we are assembling, and there are some sprayers which have come for repairs and maintenances. On that one, we really challenge those sprayers which they buy from other sources are cheap sprayers. They are not durable. But if you buy Jacto sprayers, Jacto knapsacks, they are durable. You can use them for more than 30 years. Also, we always have spares available. If any spare is worn out, we fix a new one. I'm training some are already trained. I would like to advise the small scale farmers as well as the big farmers, if they have any problem with their knapsacks, please let them come to farmers organization. We'll advise them how to use them, how to take care of them, and that we challenge that Jacto sprayers are durable.
The organization has since trained some of its personnel to repair and maintain some of the 40 sprays, which mostly come from farmers. He said spray equipment can be repaired and that it can be used for more years without getting new equipment. I'm Sam Banda Jr. in Blantyre.
Remember, this is Business Time right here on Times Television, a magazine program where we look at major business and economic news stories making headlines in the country. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Chapter 2 SACCO has expressed satisfaction over performance of its affiliated SACCOs, stressing that most were able to post profits. This follows an annual general meeting the chapter held recently in Salima. Justin Zinkambani is Chapter 2 SACCO president and explains.
I would say this year we've done very well. Actually, we've reached 10 billion. Last year we were about 8 billion. And the increase has been tremendous. And as well, the SACCOs have performed very well because most of the SACCOs have made profits, which we call profits. But at the end of the day, as I've always said, the profits they make, they share back to the SACCOs. The members are shareholders and they get back whatever they have made as a profit. Yeah, mind you, we are a social entity running as a business, and what normally members do, they borrow each other, they lend each other monies. At the end of the day, there's a small interest they charge towards what they have lent to their colleagues. And that little interest that comes in, at the end of the year when it accumulates, it comes in as a profit, which they share as bonuses. So that's how we operate as SACCOs. And this has helped a lot of people because in the end, if you borrow the same money from the bank, you will not get the shareholding out of it or the profits that they have made. But in the SACCO, the element is that we want to train people how to save money. At the end of the day, it should help them in their families. Yeah, I think you should know by now that the Reserve Bank Governor is our regulator, apart from the Registrar of Cooperatives. So under the microfinance, the Governor regulates us. And within that, the microfinance, there are code of conducts that are given to us as a SACCO. And at the same time, we have to follow the legal entity of the microfinance. We have our own bylaw. So we cannot run away from that. And he has seen how the SACCOs are operating. And in that matter, he has come to advise us on how we can go about our interest rates. We are within as a SACCO. We are not as high as people speculated because our interest rates are on the reduced balance. And we've also followed what the bank rates have been applicable. So that may have an effect, but not a big one because we don't forget we have credit reference bureaus and other players within the microfinance. What's happening now is that as we follow the laws and as well at the same time as we lend out the monies to our members. We have within the SACCOs the credit committee members that they look at and regulate how they can lend out. They don't just lend out, because mind is this a grouping of members coming together, put their monies together. So they have their own code of conduct and rules and regulations and the bylaws that they follow. So it's easy to follow their members. You still have delinquent loans, people who may have gone out because they've run away from the SACCO, having taken the loan, not of their own making, maybe by natural cause. So they also come in to assist such members how best they can control the whole thing. But the adverse effect is not as huge because we have code of conduct. We've just heard about it. We haven't seen. I think as SACCOs we are also looking at how the competition will come and how do we embrace that in our way of operating. I think we'll be able to meet the regulator as well to see how they can assist us, because they have seen the SACCOs how they're operating. And I'm sure there would be different operating systems with the community banks. It's not strange in Africa. Some of us who have traveled to Ghana, we've seen similar things happening. It all depends how it's applied. But if it's applied in order to have a situation, to bring a situation to the SACCOs, then the SACCOs also must need to gear up, because mind you, in the current situation where we excel, there should be competition in the business. So those will be our competitors, and we will need to know how best we can embrace that.
Unions have been tipped to ensure they create proper communication channels between employers and employees if rights of workers are to be preserved. This is according to a trade unionist from Australia, Nikki Gatzaras. More in this report.
The project, which ran from 2017 to 2018, mainly focused on establishing radio and television programs to reach out to workers in all corners of the country. During an evaluation workshop in Blantyre, Gazora said there is need to increase awareness among workers on their rights.
All right, so in the first place, tell us your name and the organization you're representing.
Okay, so I'm Nikki Gazora, and I am representing the Swedish Party Union within this project, which is the Union for Service and Communication Employees in Sweden, SECO.
So basically in Malawi, the understanding of how unions works and how people can demand their rights at the workplace are still not that popular. How can Malawians embrace this concept?
I think that it is a way forward that all unions in all of the world have to approach to have effective communication in order to reach members in all areas of the country, and also to sensitize workers on their rights. So basically, I think the concept is very similar, but we of course live in different countries and in different contexts, but yeah.
In a setup where the workplace or the employers are not giving that environment where the employees can form such unions, how can they do that? How can they go about it?
You mean how workers can
mobilize themselves to demand for their rights?
That is a good question, and of course it looks different depending on the workplace you're in. But there I think that trade union solidarity support is very important, that we fight together and help workers organize in sister companies and in smaller as well as bigger workplaces.
One of the main issues that employees cry on is low wages in Malawi. And the employers on their part, they would argue that they are not making good business and they are not making good returns that they can increase the wages of the employees. How do these two parties go about this particular situation, this problem?
I I guess that in that kind of situation, an enhanced social dialogue is very, very important to enhance the dialogue between the trade unions and the employer. And of course, from the workers' side, we will always fight for better conditions and better wages.
Now we understand you have engaged the local trade unions in this project. How much did you pump in this project, and what's the way forward?
The project has been running for several years, but in different forms. This last project cycle has been for 2 years, 2018 and 19. So we are now going to listen to one evaluation that has been done within the frame of the project in order to see what strategies we can develop and the way forward. And since this is a project that is funded by Swedish government funds, there are of course rules and regulations that we have to adapt to.
How much was pumped in?
Sorry?
How much was the...
Oh, perhaps I think that Ronald is the better person to ask for that question.
What direction will the next project take, if there will be any?
That is what we actually will elaborate here during this 1.5 days together. So I guess that it will be in many ways similar to what it has been until now, but we have to have a slightly different approach and to also kind of see if we can incorporate other forms of media in order to enhance the communication. And of course, it is the local unions that are doing the work, and we are here to elaborate together and to discuss together and support the work.
Wonderful. You have a business card?
Unfortunately not.
Coordinator for the Solidarity Project, Ronald Mbewe, said the project has been impactful, witnessed by the over 1,500 workers who joined trade unions in 2018 alone.
The program about the radio and TV project, it is called locally here that it is the Solidarity Project. What we are doing is that we've been having programs on the TV and on the radio. In a way, as unions, we wanted to reach out to the larger grouping, larger people, the public. In a way, trying to also sensitize the public what we are as a trade union, what we do. Trying to educate the workers, mostly the workers, those that are there who have not yet joined trade unions, to understand their rights, so that they are able to recognize that the right to belong to a trade union is their right as workers. In a way, the goal is that when they join trade union, they should be able to improve their living standards, be able to negotiate with the employer. And the goal is that these people will have, their condition of service improved and their living standards going up. That's the main aim. Unions are known by, going to various workplaces to organize. But that was not enough because not many workplaces are visited. Now we came up with this particular project so that the radios are heard almost each and every household in this country has a radio. So we thought if we could, send the message through the radio, it would be able to reach each and every person in Malawi, because the radios that we have chosen are covered countrywide. So that's it. We wanted to reach each and every person. The whole public should be able to understand what a union is all about and how can they access the services of a trade union. That's the essence of this particular project. So we've been running it for 2 years, 2018 and 2019. We expect we are going to achieve the goals meant for this particular project. We've had a tremendous impact, to say so, because we've been having a lot of calls from the people, from the public, that they are interested to join trade union, but perhaps they do not know where our offices there. So we've been directing them to our offices so that they join trade union. That's a very big impact. Right now, trade unions, it's a household name. People are able to express that there are trade unions in this country because the radio has provided that platform for them to be able to understand the duties and the role of the trade union. And that's a very big impact. As I said, before this particular project, we're going to various workplaces and do organizing. You can go to this company which is just a BE within the city, but you may not be able to reach another company, maybe a smaller company, whose workers their rights have been violated, but they don't know where to go. But with this particular project, now we're able to reach out even the domestic workers in the houses, in the various residences, the houses of the people, rich people. They're able to be reached.
Proceeding with the program, let us now have a look at how the Malawi kwacha is faring against major trading currencies on the foreign exchange market. Well, on that note, we've also come to the end of today's edition of the program Business Time right here on Times Television, a magazine program where we bring you major business and economic news stories making headlines in the country and beyond. On behalf of the entire production team, my name is William Kumwembe. But always remember, if it doesn't make money, it doesn't make sense. Bye for now.